And what's up? What's up, party people?
Hey! What?
What's going on, everybody? Hello. Welcome to another edition of Unfiltered No Chaser. I am Nitra. I'm here with my homeboy EJ and my other homeboy LB. We are all high school friends. And I'm going to start off tonight. Normally, I usually go last, but I'm going to start off tonight. I am Nitra. I am a jack of all trades. If you notice that I am wearing makeup today, it's because I was bored today. There was a lot of going on. I'm seeing too much on the news and on Facebook. Well, not news because I don't watch TV like that, but too much on Facebook with unnecessary foolishness and fuckery. So I had to cheer myself up somehow, some way, and put on some makeup this morning. And I did a little photo shoot. But my background is in IT. I am a disabled veteran of the United States Wonderful Army. And I am also a program director for a naval base here in the DMV area. Let's see here. What else do y'all want to know? I am a mother of generational children, 24, 21, and 13. My youngest one is a cheerleader. She does all-star cheer. My son is a college student and also works part-time, and my daughter, who is also 24, she is also in the United States Navy. And if y'all don't know, that I am a proud honey. Honey is my name for my grandchild, which they would call me Honey. Not Grandma, not Nana, not Yaya, none of that. I am Honey. So I'm going to turn it over to EJ and let him introduce himself.
Well, hello, everybody. First of all, welcome back to Unfiltered No Chaser. My name is EJ Alexander. I'm checking in from New York. Yeah. I'm a board certified practitioner here in New York. I'm also an actor as well. I have been in New York now for 21 years this year. Matter of fact, this coming Wednesday will make 19 years that I've been in the Department of Psychiatry up here at one of the most prestigious hospitals here in New York City. I'm a proud husband and a proud father. Proud graduate of Morris Brown College in Atlanta, Georgia. Proud graduate of Columbia University here in New York City. And it's such an honor to come into your households every Saturday night at 7:30 just to have some fun. The purpose of this show being created was to just get everybody's thoughts, inputs, and their opinions on how everybody's dealing with this whole quarantine process. Naturally, it's been an adjustment for everybody, for clinicians, politicians, families, friends. You know, it's been an adjustment. There's not one single person that has not been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic or the COVID-19, whichever one you want. So the purpose of this show being created with my phenomenal high school friends, Nitra and Mr. LB, who I want to pass the microphone on over to next, is to have good conversation. That's really what this whole thing is about, to have good conversation, for us to share our thoughts and feelings, and allow you to share your thoughts and feelings about what's going on. So anyway, enough about my babbling, blabbling. Again, my name is First EJ Alexander. I'm checking in from New York.
New York.
And we're going to pass the mic to Mr. Brooks.
I have no idea how I'm going to come behind that with all that graciousness that you just energy that you just shared with us. So I'm Lawrence Brooks. Go by LB. Again, as Nitra and AJ just stated, that we all are from Columbus, Georgia. I'm by way of New Jersey, so right across the street from Mr. EJ over there. My background is in human resources. I attended Albany State University, Columbus State University, and then received my master's in human resource management from Troy State University from Troy, Alabama. Thanks so much. Again, I just want to state thanks so much to EJ and Nitra for allowing me to sit in and partake in the great conversation that I'm sure we're going to have this evening. So everybody sit back and enjoy.
Yes. So on that note, we're going to get straight into it. Okay. So, you know, the topic is really Karens, but there are there are also some Kens that I want to start calling them Kens out there as well. And the Kens are the male versions of the Karens. I don't know who all saw this, but there was a video that went out on Facebook, and I honestly don't know how long ago the video was actually shot by the time that I saw it. But it was they looked like they was in a gym in a building, and it was a couple of black young guys that actually owned, not leased, but they said that they owned property within the building. So this building was an office building, and there was a gym in there. So because there was young black guys, the Ken asked them why was they there. And when they asked them when they was there, the guys didn't go into, where we own property because they shouldn't have to. But what they said is they have a right to be in here. And when the Ken did not like it, he proceeded to call the authorities on these young black men. And I think it was 3, maybe 4, but I'm thinking it was more like 3 of them. And what happened is this. And that is the actual man that called the police on the entrepreneur, the young black guys. And I just want to talk about this a little bit. Like, what are you all's thoughts on some white people? Because I'm not going to say all. Some white people,
right,
feeling that they are superior to other black people or races, but mainly black people, and think that it is okay to call the police on them because they don't feel as though they should be in a particular area. It takes me back to where you had the whites only and black only water fountains, or you can only sit in certain areas on the bus or in the restaurants, if a restaurant at all. Because also, if y'all don't remember, there was another guy named Cooper. I forgot his first name. And the lady called the police on him.
Christian.
It was Christian Cooper. I should remember that. That's my daughter's name. Christian Cooper, he was bird watching, but where he was in Central Park, the dogs had to be on a leash. And when he tried to explain to the lady, hey, your dog needs to be on a leash, she in turn and started saying stuff like she was going to call the police and said that he's threatening her and her dog's life. And it just became a whole situation. And all he wanted her to do was put the dog on the leash. That's all she wanted. And if you paid attention to that video, it went from, hi, I'm calling, there's a black man, an African-American man, he's trying to hurt me and my dog, he's trying to threaten me. She said it calmly twice, but on the third time when the dispatcher could not hear her clearly, then she turned on her panicky damsel in distress voice and try to make herself cry. And then when she put her leash on, all he said was, thank you. So what are you all's take on that?
I'll add one piece to that, Nitra, before we get the takes from everybody. The one piece at the very, very beginning of the clip, of the clip with the lady's name is Amy Cooper for Central Park. Mm-hmm. So when Christian told her that it is a requirement that you have your dog on a leash,
he did.
What she said very methodically, she said, I'm going to call the police and tell them an African American man is threatening me. She waited. She waited to see if he was going to continue interacting with her
and being calm.
Right. And when he said, well, I don't care, call them. That's when it picked up from where Nietzsche was stating that, it started off slowly and maybe she wasn't getting the answers that she was looking for. And then it escalated. So I wanted to give it into a context.
Or the fear.
Yes.
That she was looking for.
So I wanted to add that context because she explicitly said it to him slowly as a threat.
Because let's take it back. Remember, this is how Tillman died. Off of a lie. Emmett Tillman lied off of the very same type of lie that she was whistling. He was whistling at her when his mother said that he couldn't have whistled, but he had a speech impediment where he talked with a lisp. So let's. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on it? Because that just bothers me to no end, especially knowing that I have a son that's 21 years old. You know, that just bothers me.
Okay. Raheem, my man Raheem, shout out to my man Raheem down in Atlanta. Raheem said a very good point that I was about to say. He said it's been that way since slavery. There is no question asked when a black man is said to have committed a crime.
Correct.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, and it does. It goes back to that. We've always been looked at as being less than when it comes to white race. That's just what it is, right? She knew the repercussions of what could possibly happen by sounding like a damsel in distress, by making the phone call the way she made it. So I think Mr. Cooper did the right thing as far as videotaping it to cover himself, because you know and I know what happened shortly after that with the whole Mr. Force. So totally get it. However, we knowing that that's how we're portrayed, how we're looked at, it does go back to slavery. We have to move differently. We shouldn't have to move differently, but the reality is we have to move differently. We have to carry ourselves differently, because if we don't present ourselves differently, and I'm not saying that it couldn't happen even if you presented yourself in the highest character possible, we are still looked at as savages.
Correct.
We're still looked at as savages. We're still looked as you're not qualified enough to do what I do. Now that, like you said, Nietzsche, all white people don't look at us like that. Not all, but it's still an extreme high percentage that still do. That's just what that is. So yeah, that's my opinion. That's my take on that situation. I think he did the right thing by videotaping it, because if he didn't videotape it, it could have went left bad.
It could have went all the way to the left.
It could have went all the way bad by the time the cop showed up. So he did a phenomenal job with that. So kudos to him.
And not only did he record it that I liked the fact that he remained calm the whole time. Like he didn't get like or he didn't say all I asked you to do is put your leash on. He didn't do any of that.
Right.
So
he knows. He understands. He understands.
So
he understands.
I totally commend him on that, and I thank him for doing that.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, that could have went all the way left, but I just don't understand why people, especially white people, some white people, I have to keep saying that. Some white people just find it convenient or necessary or white privilege to think that it is okay for you to do stuff like that. Because see, what's going on right now is if they don't, I don't know if they don't realize it or what. What's going on right now is when they do that fuckery that they're doing, they're losing their goddamn jobs. Because guess what?
Well, you talking about blacks losing their jobs, or you talking about whites losing their jobs?
No, I'm talking about white people that's doing that. They're losing their jobs for that foolishness because their company doesn't want that bad press on them.
Of course.
People are finding their profiles on social media, regardless if they're being recorded doing it or they're actually saying it on their platforms. They're actually reposting this stuff, and the stuff is going live and viral. And people they're losing their jobs. So you have to be very, very, very careful on what you say to make sure that it can't be misconstrued into something, negative. And unfortunately, because we have for lack of better words, leadership that we have in the Oval Office, people think that it is okay to say that type of foolishness, and it's not okay to say that type of foolishness. Right. Now, honestly, let me just touch on the election just a little bit.
Okay.
He's already been impeached. Okay? He just wasn't found guilty. Now, why? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. But if you're impeached, there should not be a way that you can rerun for office again.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
I'm trying to understand why it's okay for him to run again for office, and I'm trying to tell everybody, regardless if you agree with the voting, regardless if you don't have a candidate that you want to choose, you need to do your due diligence and you need to freaking vote.
Come on,
okay? Because there's not. See, like I posted on my page today. Y'all wanted somebody, and I'm not saying y'all, I'm saying in general. You all wanted somebody that didn't have anything to do with politics. Well, here you fucking go. You elected a goddamn reality person. Now all of us living in a surreal reality show, and the black people and brown people are still on the fucking Survivor. So you need to do your goddamn due diligence. This June, I think it's June the 2nd, that you can vote by paper ballot. Or if they open up the polls, you better vote. Somehow, some way, you better vote. I don't care if you vote and they send it by a goddamn kite, a damn shit, a stamp in a bottle, Morse code, SOS, Facebook Live, whatever you need to do. You need to vote, because there's nothing worse having this fucking reality person or shoe salesman trying to do open heart surgery on some shit that he knows nothing about. Here it is. We're almost close to goddamn election time. We got a goddamn virus that nobody knows what the fuck is going on, because he not only shut down the country, but he let motherfuckers back in the country that was over there where they had a high rate. He should have shut everything goddamn down. Okay? He should have shut the shit down, quarantine everybody, and stop trying. Listen here, he know black people go to damn church, because guess what? If they don't do nothing else, they're gonna go to church, right? Why the hell you opening up the churches and saying the churches need to open back up the game day? I call bullshit. You better live stream that. Live stream church if that's what you're trying to do. Okay, let me get off my box real quick.
Sorry. So
then I'm gonna go next.
Go ahead, Erskine. I was waiting. I was sitting there waiting silently before
I don't know. Yeah, we can go either way. We can go. I mean, the bottom line is just, I think this is the mistake. This is what we have to do as African Americans, as a culture. We already know what the problem is. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see this. The one thing we've all learned from Donald Trump is that anybody can be president. Bottom line. Anybody, right? But what we have to do while we're lined up around the corner buying Jordans, we need to be lined up around the corner voting. Because at the end of the day, we can't go with the excuse of, well, I don't like who's in the White House. I don't like the guy that's running up against, so I'm not going to vote at all. I get it. But I use this.
Vote at all. They're saying the same shit. You didn't vote.
Right. Hold on. Let me finish. So the only thing I'm saying, the mistake that we have to do as a culture, we can't make excuses and say, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't like the person that's going against. Okay, Obama, we was happy. Thankful, black president, yes. But at the end of the day, that time has passed, right? He can't come back. That's the reality. So if we already know that somebody's not qualified to run, you put the other person in there. You don't sit back and not do something. If I came to your house, Nitra or Lawrence, and the only thing you guys had at your house was steak and chicken, and I really don't like neither one, but if I had to pick between the two, I would pick the chicken, because that's what I like between the two. I know both of them gonna give me heartburn, but I'm hungry, and I know I'll feel better, halfway better, when I have one or the other. So you take the chicken. The mistake that we're making, and the only way we're going to get some kind of justice in anything that we do as a culture, is we have to start with the voting. We got to start moving differently. We can't, and the reality is, we already know that there's a difference between white Americans and black Americans. That's the reality. So we have to move different. Yeah. While we are spending money on Jordans and rims, and I'm not saying you don't treat yourself, but do the right thing behind the process. Are you investing your money? What kind of investments do you have?
Right.
So I'm about to pass the microphone on Lawrence. We have to move differently. Bottom line, we have to move differently.
We have to. It is imperial that we do. We have to. We cannot let this man go back in office, because here's the reality. If he does, he's going to taunt us. He is a 72-year-old, 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He is going to taunt us. He already got mad at Twitter because they fact checked his ass.
Yeah.
So what? And because they fact checked him, now he wants to shut down social media. No, motherfucker, whatever you want to say. When you want to say it, whatever time of day or night you want to say it, but the time somebody check your ass, then you think you have the authority to shut it down. And the sad part is, it's Mark Zuckerberg's punk ass is sitting up there right behind him and says, nobody should be fact checking. No, nobody should be fact checking. Oh yeah, but if somebody put something up there about Black Lives Matter or something about black people in a positive way, what do? You take the shit down, and then you turn around and says it's a violation of whatever. What?
Right.
Oh, hell no.
Right. So that's why I'm saying we have to move. We already see the foolishness. We already see it. It does not take a blind person to see what's going on. So once we understand that there's foolishness, that this is ignorance, and we're treated a certain way in a certain light, we have to take 2 steps back and say, you know what, we got to handle it this way.
You do. We do.
Our presentation is everything. You want to get revenge, and I'm about to kind of go into another leeway, but I'll let you guys go into that with the whole George Floyd thing. But you want to get revenge, you vote. Just like all the entertainers and the celebrities was flooding the timelines, and everybody was out there for Obama, right? Which was great. Do the same thing with getting this individual out of the office.
Yep.
Now we'll deal with the new individual in the office once we get that individual out of the office.
Right.
But we got to do that first. We can't sit back and say, "Oh, I'm not going to touch that because I don't like who that is."
Right.
We have to vote. Period. We have to vote. That's the only way we're going to be heard.
Right. Lawrence.
So I find myself that I potentially, just from listening to you two, I potentially might feel like I'm about to be the odd man out. So, but I will say this. So, so I'll start back off.
Before you say that, let me just say this. That is why it's not just one person and one person's opinion only. This platform is for everybody to voice their opinions. We can all agree or we can all disagree. Agree to disagree.
Sure.
So no, just because you think differently than Erskine and I, or we might think the same thing about certain things, that does not mean that you do not have a voice on this platform.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Period.
And we will all talk about it respectfully.
Sure.
And that's how that is one thing that we will do on this show.
Sure. Thanks for that. I thought I would say that as a disclaimer because I know that y'all were crunk. So I might get a different crop coming out of it.
That's okay.
So with Amy Cooper, and to my fault, I probably watched more news in the past 72 hours than I have in maybe a year. Only because one of the plethora of jobs that I've had, I actually was an HR director for an international news organization. So I know how they gather the news, source the news, and we
spin the news.
Well, except we didn't create it. So what we did, we were aggregator. So we just took news from different places and push it out to different platforms. But with that being said, with Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper, that whole interaction to me was nothing absolutely new to me. It was not new to me whatsoever. We've all had those interactions where people, where it is sometimes well, I'm gonna back up for a second. Sorry. So in my interactions with white women, it's always been, you're gonna do as I say, or I know what will stop you. And what will stop you is the police. If there's not one thing in this country that everyone knows, is that the one thing that a Black man should fear is the police. Because we already know with the damsel in distress, and Disney has made it very, very clear that everyone has to come and save the white woman. There's been so many cartoons made to that, right? So with that, it's gotten to the point where normally I would agree with you, EJ, about making sure that we stay calm, we stay rational, we make sure that we're doing all that we can to make sure that we come home to our loved ones. On a normal circumstance, I would absolutely agree with you with that. But the sad part about it is that gentleman had the restraint that I probably would have never had. And I've had my interactions with, in my profession, I've dealt with a whole lot more white women and screaming and shouting and yelling and things of that nature, making me feel like I was getting ready to threaten them than any point in time in my whole entire life. And that actually happened when I moved to the New York metro area. It happened when I lived in the South, but it wasn't as overt as everything in the South. They, smile in your face and say, "Hey, hon, how you doing?" and bless your heart and be ready to stab you in the back in a second. But what we need to do now is not only be calm, but also be reactive, because her issue with him was not necessarily about power. It was about authority.
That's exactly what it was.
And that's why I sort of made that statement initially, because if she would have just randomly picked up the phone and started screaming like Barbecue Becky did, that wasn't conscious. She just picked it up and she was like, no, they're not following the rules. I'm going to call. He did the exact same thing to her.
Yeah.
And she was like, she basically said, I'm going to do what I want. Who the hell are you to tell me what to do? And the fact that you had the audacity to think that you could tell me what I could do, I am going to threaten you. So push my button and we're going to see who's going to win this battle and who's going to win or lose. So the issue for me is that not only that, throughout time, we have always been taught to be submissive. Always. We've always been told to be submissive, whether it's through the church. Lord, we want to pray to the church, and the Lord told us we have to save all our souls. But them same people who are praying in that church go to the same church. You preaching, you holding the same Bible, and they're going to leave that church and still look at you as not even a citizen of this country.
But you got to realize, again, that started with slavery. We didn't practice Christianity. We were spiritual. We were spiritual people, and the only way they figured that we would learn, because we were spiritual people. The only way they knew that we would behave is if they taught us Christianity, and they picked the strongest person, not physically strong, but the one that was an influencer out of the whole bunch, and they made him the pastor, and that was the only way he learned how to read. So it goes all the way back to slavery. All of this stuff goes back to slavery.
It all goes back to slavery. I totally agree.
It does at one point. But my I've been thinking about this for a while. I actually been waiting to join the podcast today. It's the phrase that I came up with is that the problem is so big that it will take years to come up with the solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you peel back one onion, it's another layer. It's another layer. It's another layer. So by the time we get to the center, it's a whole third generation. Nitra's daughter and your daughter are going to be old people still trying to figure out, well, I wonder why they killed old Jebediah the other day. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I
so
totally
now
agree.
We need to address, we don't need to address anything. This country needs to address its own particular issues with authority. And that is number one. You could have, I don't know if Ursula's ever had, or Nitra, if you ever had it in the service as well, but I've had bosses time and time again literally say, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to be fired. And it could be something that will be totally against whatever it is that you wanted to do, right? But you had no choice because A, you like to eat, you want to make sure you got a roof over your head, you want to make sure you want to take care. Me, I always want to eat first. Take care of your kids, pay your mortgage, things of that nature. So we have always been conditioned to be threatened because we have always been taught throughout the generations that you have to be submissive to anybody who threatens you. I am to the point now that I'm all for that and I'm all for respect, but respect goes two ways. And what she did in that park was that she knew that she was going to be the hitman for the person who questioned her authority on what she was doing that day.
I totally agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. And that's why he did it the right way. Like Bruce, I was always taught life's about choices. We are the product of the choices we make. Absolutely. I totally agree. But to piggyback on what Lawrence was saying, I totally agree. And that's why Mr. Cooper handled that the way he handled that.
Yeah.
Mr. Cooper understands the history of slavery. He understands what we've been through as a race. You know, there was a time frame, not that racism ever slowed down, but it has been a major increase because of the administration in the office.
This administration.
With this administration, it's been a major increase. It's
I don't think it did.
No, yes,
I don't think it did.
No,
I don't think it did.
No.
I don't think it increased.
It's more
I don't think
visible.
it increased.
It's more visible.
No.
It's definitely more visible.
Hold on.
No.
Why you don't
it
think
still was there? I got you. Appreciate it. I'll tell you why it didn't. It didn't increase. See, how can I say this? So when the only reason why people think it increased is because now people are able to see certain things more. It has always been there. It has always been increasing. It has always been on the level.
I can agree with that part.
Okay.
The issue is that because Donald Trump is such a fucking fuckface, everyone is. I'll tell you, every time I think about it, it makes me bad as hell. I had another name for him, but I had another name for him, but I can't even think of it right now. I'm sure it'll come to me.
The Great Pumpkin.
Listen. The guy in the giant peach, Peter the Giant Peach. But anyway, the issue is that with Trump being in that position that he is, it gave the ones who were doing stuff covertly, who were still doing it.
They're comfortable.
That is the issue.
And
they're more
comfortable. That is what I was going to say. No. Right. I think I totally agree with what you're saying. People are now recording it more.
Totally
yada. But a lot of people are more comfortable.
Yes.
Doing and saying this shit because it's just like this. You lead by example. So if your example,
come on,
their lack of is saying grab them in the pussy, it's okay. Now I'm going to, anybody can go out here and just assault women and grab them in the damn pussy.
Right.
Why? Because the president said that you can do it.
Absolutely.
Or another thing he was saying during his campaign train, go ahead and punch him in the face. I'll have somebody bail you out.
Knock the shit out of him. That's what he said.
That young black man with them locks went to get up and walk out, and the white dude punched him in his damn face. Luckily, he didn't punch his ass back or had his boys with him to fuck his ass up. Okay,
and I guarantee you,
when you say stuff, when you're in a leadership position and you say stuff which makes other people comfortable enough to say and do the things that you're saying and doing, it has escalated to a whole nother level. But see, like my daughter, when he first got elected, my 13-year-old, when she was in the 5th grade, when he was when he was running, she woke up the next morning and that baby was like, because she asked me, can she watch the elections? And I told her yes, because she was rooting for Hillary Clinton. I was too. Why? Because of her experience. She was well-rounded in that community.
Experience.
When my child woke up the next morning and found out that Donald Trump was the fucking president, she had a meltdown before she went to school. And what she said, her mouth shocked me. She says, now we're all about to be slaves and they're going to kill us again. Now, where the hell she got that from, I don't know. But that shit broke my heart. And I told her, I said, Christian, I said, let me tell you something. These white people, they ain't the same white people as it was a long time ago. And we damn sure ain't the same black people that we were a long time ago. Before we become slaves, we will burn this bitch down.
To the ground.
And I sent her on the way to school. But we're not the same. Now, which is a segue into our next topic, is this fucking rioting, looting. I don't get that shit. That shit is fuckery and foolishness to me, because here's what happens. And you got to think about it. If you all saw the thin line between love and hate, when Brandy couldn't get Marcus, who was Martin Lawrence's character, couldn't get him to stay with her. What did she do? She fucked up her whole goddamn house, bashed herself in the head, went to the hospital and said it was him. For what? Because he still didn't stay with you. He still went back on with who was it? Regina King was
Regina
subbed,
King, yeah.
and it didn't work. So what I'm saying is with the rioting and stuff, that makes no fucking sense to me. Why would you fuck up your community? Burn the shit down, steal from your black people or any other places like the curry house or whatever you got in your neighborhood. Why would you burn that shit down? Because you got to go back and live in that.
Right.
The poorest white people, they do not burn their shit down. Okay? They ain't burning their shit down. Why is it that we burning our shit down? Because you can go to any city, especially major cities in the United States, and you always have those communities. And all places don't have South Sides because DMV, they don't have South Sides. But all communities have a lower population of black people mixed in with a sprinkle of white people. When they tear up their shit, it's been 30 years later, their shit still tore up. They're not getting grants to rebuild that shit. Ain't nobody coming into the community unless it's major developers to rebuild. And when they do rebuild, they're moving you out. Okay? Why do y'all feel that it's okay? Or do y'all think it's okay to burn it down? Because this is what I saw. I saw this right here. And although I do not like Tommy, I agreed with her and I agree with the other young lady. Tommy Loren says, how does looting, rioting, and destroying your own community bring justice to anybody? Which is my question. I don't like this chick because she's a Republican. Not so much she's a Republican, but she's a dumbass and she's racist. And then Aisha says, I don't know, but they tried peacefully kneeling, and y'all still had a problem with that too.
There we go. So
I agree with both of them.
I agree with both of them.
So honestly, this is like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King basically talking with the comments, not the people, but the comments. Because Malcolm X was for, no, we need to do this. We need to go hard into the paint for this. We need to get this, and that done. Martin Luther King was like, no, let's just talk peacefully. Let's just march. Let's just have no violence. And both of them rolling over in the damn graves because it's still fuckery and foolishness going on.
Okay.
I'm gonna
drive this home wrong with that.
It's okay. I completely understand why they did it. 100%. 100%. But the reason why it's in their own neighborhood may get a little lost in translation. Because one of the groups of people who deal with the police on a every single day basis are low income, poverty stricken African Americans. Those three. If you don't live in that neighborhood or if you don't live in that community, you have absolutely no idea how these people are followed, watched, harassed every single day. They're going to feel it. I understand it. I've lived that part many, many years ago, but they live it every single day. They don't have any transportation. They can't go anywhere. They don't have a car, or they probably don't have a license to go anywhere. So they can't even transport themselves to your point, Nitra. They can't transport themselves to a more affluent neighborhood or white neighborhood or things of that nature so they can tear up their shit. So the only way they know how to express their anger is, unfortunately, is the stuff that they see right in front of their window. Now, do they understand how they shouldn't tear down their own communities? No, they don't, because no one is even teaching them the importance of their community. You know, they don't have any of us going in there saying, hey, black brother, black sister, you strong, you're powerful, you can do this, you can do this. Even look at me as an example, just to try to give them hope. There are some programs, right? I know there are some in Newark, there are some in Patterson. Speaking of New Jersey, right? There's some in Trenton. I know that there's some in Philly because I have a friend of mine who works for social services in Philly. So they have programs, but even those programs are underfunded. But when those programs close, and some of them have to close, I know in Philly, some of them have to close at 4 o'clock, especially in the wintertime, because the kids are afraid to walk home. But they're afraid on two fronts. Now, of course, there's gang violence and all this other kind of stuff, which is a whole nother issue within itself. But they also have to deal with being followed and harassed every single day. I love this particular cologne that I used to wear for a couple of years. And the only place that sold it was Lord and Taylor. Okay. And there's a big Lord and Taylor from a town not too far from over here from me. Now, I would go when I worked in financial services. I always had to wear a shirt and a tie. Couldn't stand it, but I always had to do it. So I went there after work one day. I parked my car. And when I parked my car, the security guard saw me when I got to the door, because I'm Southern, I always wave at people. Try to make them comfortable with me and my blackness, to let them know I'm not a threat to you, right? So I'm going into the store, but I'm looking around trying to figure, because they moved, some things around. But out the corner of my eye, I see this man still behind me. So of course, Lawrence is like, Lawrence, don't be paranoid, damn it. This man is not following you. Don't pay attention. It was only until they have the stuff, locked behind a case. When the lady went to go get the key, the man was standing right beside me. And he was just looking at me. And I'm like, yeah. He said, you having a good day? I'm like, sure. He's like, what are you buying? And I'm like, what the hell business is of yours? That's when I got loud. So even then,
you should have said, your mama.
Now he really got to get some problems in this
your mama.
Look, because I know she up here about to buy some damn white diamonds or some Gina Tay.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. But it infuriated me so bad, because he wanted to know why I was in there. So the nice lady, she came. I went, got my stuff. As I'm going down the escalator, I look back. He gets down the he literally followed me all the way until I got in my car. And I got in my car, and I was so angry. I was so angry. I almost got back out the car and be like, what the fuck is your problem? Who are you to follow me around some damn store when all I'm doing is shopping? I say that example. That was one incident, that I had, and it infuriated me, because I should be treated.
I'm not laughing at you, but I got so many damn thoughts going through my head. I'm like, what the hell is Lawrence talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's going to. But you know what? But that goes to what you're both saying. It's so unfortunate that it's the difference between the two of us. My friend who I train with.
Don't laugh at me, Raheem.
My friend who I train with, he's white, and the first thing he asked me on Thursday was, what are your thoughts and feelings about what's going on and how things are dealing with? And have you ever been racially profiled before? I said, absolutely.
And that is a very healthy conversation to have.
Very healthy conversation. It's much needed, because it needs, because it's one thing when you have white people interact with black people, but it's a whole nother thing when you actually want to know and get a halfway understanding of what we go through and some of the experiences that we had. Yes, I explained to him that I've gotten pulled over because I drive a nice car. Yes, I've gotten pulled over in Atlanta as well because I was driving a car. Is the car yours? Of course. Yes, I have to dress a certain type of way on my job, so I won't be looked at a certain type of way if I dress it. I had a guy ask me. He said, hey man, I don't see how you come to work with shirt and ties and bow ties and all that kind of stuff. He said, I don't see how you do that. And I had to be very careful how I addressed the answer to him. But I explained to him, I said, I take pride in my appearance.
Yes.
Yeah, I take pride in my appearance. But in the back of my mind, I wanted to say, if I dress like you, they will pull me in the office.
Right. And so
and say you're not dressed for them.
Even with you saying that, even for so I work for the base commander. Like, I report to him. I'm his IT director. for the base. And even when I had to take my official photo to be put up with the rest of everybody, all of the other directors, first of all, I am the only Black person. I don't mean the only Black female. I am the only Black female or Black person that is a director directly under him. So all of my blonde pieces that you see, I had to particularly hide them because I didn't want it to show in my official photo that is hung up on the door. I mean, on the wall when you first walk in the command building, and you see all of the directors and all the senior level staff, and you like, oh, there's the ghetto Black person. Okay, they made their quota for the week.
But
So,
at the same time, is that to make them more comfortable, or should they try to assist you in making you comfortable for the skills that you have?
well,
And that is the point.
so here's the thing. My hair is locked. So therefore, I'm not trying to make them comfortable because my hair is locked. If I was trying to make them comfortable, I would have had straight hair. Or my hair is naturally curly. I would have pressed it out or had a relaxer in it. But I could have
Mm-hmm.
worn my hair naturally curly. But because of who I am outside of my office, I still wanted to keep a piece of me. Also, I like
Mm.
colors. My hair is red. You really can't see it on this live stream, but my hair is actually a burgundy blonde, a burgundy wine color. It used to be red in the front and black in the back, but to keep some of me and to still be professional, because I gives a shit about making people comfortable. Just know me for my job and know that I can get the job done. I try to compromise, not because I'm trying to compromise for you, but compromise to be professional, if that
But
makes
see,
sense.
even it does to a point, and I think, and again, one of my points I was making is that no one knows why these people are. There's a whole lot to unpack when people are looting and rooting and I want to say
Right.
rioting,
I want to
rioting, because my point was that we don't know the stuff that they deal with every single day. What I'm trying to say is that we as Black people have always lived in this place where for us it is to not make us accepted. And I know what you mean by comfortability, and I'm not saying that that's what you were doing, Nitra. But my thing is that they've made these dress codes, they've made these policies not to embrace any other ethnicity or culture or support or anything like that except theirs.
I disagree with that about dress codes.
What? One second, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
In California, I believe the governor literally had to pass legislation that said it was against the law to fire someone for having locks
or not hire them because of it.
Right. Now,
for natural hair. Actually, it wasn't so much locks; it was natural hair as a whole.
Well, they included it in the legislation. They included, sort of that whole spectrum, spectrum as well. The point of what I'm saying is that we've never in this country had an opportunity for this country to say, okay, we're going to embrace African culture, right? Never. Even when we try to have, Black Pride or Black History Month, it was left out of books, it was left out of schools, all of these things. But they specifically made sure that we understood the Italian culture, the English culture, the German culture, everything that didn't look like us. So then when we go into the office, right? We had this individual, we had what I call classes of people. There were certain level of people who worked in our call center. Okay. And then there were people who worked on another floor who did all of our trades and actions and things of that nature. The two never met. They never met. So this one young lady, she had just started in our call center. They told her what the dress code was, and it didn't say anything about. They just said that she had to wear a blouse, right? Didn't say anything about the length or anything like that. So she came in. It wasn't as short as yours, Nitra, but it came probably a little bit longer than yours were. Very nice blouse. They wrote her up in a final warning and said she was out of dress code. She started crying because I'm in HR. She came to me crying. She's like, Lawrence, is anything wrong with my dress? And I said, no, I went to my boss, who is a white woman, and they told her, no, you have to dress like this. She pulled out a book of women and how they were supposed to dress.
So there was an SOP or a regulation on the dress.
But guess what the colors were of all the people who were dressed?
It doesn't matter.
It does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
It does.
That part,
you know why?
I disagree with you.
You know why it matters? You know why it matters? Because what they're saying is that if you're going to represent us as an organization, we want you to look a certain way, and that way does not have anything to do with your culture.
I guess this is the military part of me that's coming out.
I know it is. I know it is.
But it shows you the separate.
I think this is the military and me coming out because you got to be just dress because you have to understand. I don't care if the illustration had a white person on there, a black person on there, Chinese, Persian, or whatever. If the dress code said the skirt had to be exactly this type of length, then it should be this length. No shorter than this length. It should have been broken down like that. A picture of who's wearing it should not have mattered. However, on the flip side of that, when you're talking about hair, now we got a problem. Because you shouldn't tell me how to wear my hair when my hair naturally grows going straight out or straight up. I cannot control how my hair grows. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're talking about hair versus clothes. Clothing, that doesn't matter to me. But when you're talking about clothing, a lot of people do not know business casual from casual to casual.
Right.
So you have to put guidelines in there.
Parameter.
Whatever the model of the person is, whatever culture or ethnicity or racial group that the actual model is for clothing, that doesn't matter. Because at the same time, you cannot wear a dress that is 2 inches too short above your knee. That should say that in there. But if you're going to talk about hair, now we have a problem because my hair doesn't grow out straight like Becky's hair. You understand what I'm saying? Now,
I was wondering what name you was going to use, but Becky's okay.
Now, on the flip side of that, we talked about locks. The reason they don't like locks, or they didn't like locks, and people still have a stigma on locks because of Rastafarian religion, or because they look unkept. Because guess what? When you see a bum on the street, his hair is somehow, some way locked. Short locks, tiny locks, twiggy locks, they're locked. Because why? He can't get a haircut. And that's not a priority of his. But that's why I do not use the word dreadlocks, because to say it's dreaded, that means it's dreadful. And it is not dreadful. Okay? People lock their hair for religious purposes. People lock their hair for fashion statements. Okay? So also with that, you got white people that lock their hair, the little skateboarders that you see, they're the rebellious ones that walking around with locks in their hair, or the Vikings. Have people forgot about Vikings? Vikings used to have locks too. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So therefore, that's why I say I disagree with you as far as the dress code, because again, a lot of people don't know what certain types of dress is. Formal dress, cocktail wear, business attire, business casual, and hanging around the house type of outfits. I had a supervisor, okay? A supervisor. That chick would come to work with some thong flip-flops on.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I've seen that in our office as well.
A supervisor. Not only that, you are a GS-13. Ma'am, that is not professional.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Granted, when she went to meetings,
I've seen that in my office.
She would change her shoes. However, around in the office, she would walk around with the flip-flops on. So therefore, that's why I said I don't agree with that whole, the young lady getting rid of, or that's why they made these laws, because I honestly don't know. And it's not just black people that don't know what dress is what. It's a lot of people. And I'm saying all races, all ethnicities. They don't know, because guess what? Depending on where you were born on that social ladder, meaning poverty, poor people, middle class, mid-middle class, high middle class, rich people, and 1%ers, depending on where you fall on that line, you don't learn that stuff. You don't learn that stuff. there's a lot of times people don't know how to eat formally.
Yeah,
I took a class on that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
doesn't have that luxury to do that. So sometimes you have to meet people where they're at. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
help people understand, hey, don't wear that next time because of this, that, and the other. It's not because they're being rebellious or whatever. In HR, honestly, HR should tell them what the dress code is and give an example when they leave the interview. So just in case they get hired, they will know what they can and cannot wear, but they don't. And that is one of the questions that I do ask when I do get interviewed for a job. What is the dress code? Because I'm in the IT field. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk when I was a technician. Okay, because I'm not a technician. When I was a technician, I started off as being a technician when I was active duty. Okay, so I wore my uniform all the time. Okay, but when I got out and became a technician as a government person, um, the thing was there was some places that I could wear jeans and dress up my jeans. There were some places where there were no jeans, or maybe jeans on Fridays. So I gotta disagree with that
It's
whole
okay. No, I get it. But
Right, right.
what I'm getting ready to say is that it's about your training. When you said that, because I already knew your background with military services, I already knew that you were going to say that because y'all are so used to standard operating procedures. I already knew.
That's the difference. Right.
What I'm saying in corporate America, in regular America, in anything like that outside of
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Joanna.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was trying not to laugh. Why you gonna laugh out loud?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I saw it. The thing what happens. The reason why I brought that up is because it's it's the issues that come when they come to HR, because they will write up Yolanda or Takesha or Lakeisha in a second. But when Karen and Becky and Susan and Nancy, where's the exact, even shorter? They were like, oh no, it's okay. You a goddamn lie. It's not okay. That's what I mean. So that's what I mean by when we have these images and things of that nature, of things that don't represent us, it's just one more thing that's just going to be that layer of saying that we as Black African Americans are not the same as you. And I was saying visually with the chart, we see those images everywhere we go. Again, this is why I'm saying that those issues with the people, writing and things of that nature, we are not represented the way that we should be represented. We
are tired.
It is literally fucking frustrated. And the only thing that affects, I'm going to change the narrative real quick, and EJ, and I'll let you go. The one thing I don't want to say is because I have a lot of white ally friends. I really do. They are fucking spectacular and beautiful, beautiful people. But the one thing I want to change is that I don't want to say, white people, because I don't want anyone to say all Black people or all Hispanic. I don't want to say. So I'm going to say the institution of white supremacy. That is what the issue is today. That is what racism is. It is the institution of white supremacy that has allowed for the Karens and the Amy's of the world to do what they do, and allow for the Kevins and the Kevs and the Kens to do what they do. But at the same time, everyone is telling Black people to go pray, go home, and go vote. And they said no. They have been doing that for 200 plus fucking years.
So here's the other.
So now I have to burn your shit down to the ground.
Right. So that kind of goes back into what the segment, what we're saying about the loitering and the rioting and all that kind of stuff. Black people are tired. Lawrence, you said that statement perfectly. We have done it your way, and it wasn't right. We did it this way, it wasn't right. And you're still stepping on us, making us still look less than, even though we kind of know in the back of our mind, in your eyes, you already looked at us that way. We are tired. So what we're going to do now is we're going to burn shit down because we're tired. We're tired. We're tired. We done took every way possible to try to do this the right way. It didn't work. You got a guy, he got booted up by the NFL because he said, I want to peacefully take a knee during the national anthem.
Yep.
Did it the right way.
Yep.
Did it the right way.
But the
let me finish. And this man still has not gotten a job for doing the right thing.
Correct.
So when you look at that, you look at a guy kneeling on another guy, or a white man kneeling on a black man for 8 minutes. 8 minutes, not just that 8 minutes, but I thought all COVID-19 stuff was going on. He didn't even have a mask on.
Not only they said that was not police protocol in their police station.
Okay.
That is not what you do.
But so you see this on live TV. It takes you 4 days to arrest this guy. It took 2 months for you to arrest the guys that shot the kid in Georgia. Sean Bell comes out of a bachelor party, getting ready to get married the next day.
Yep.
And I thought about that because he got married a year. He was going to get married a year after I had got married. This is back in 2006. Something. Who shoots 50 rounds?
I'll bring you one even better, closer to home, about Columbus. You remember Kenneth Walker?
Yes.
Shot his ass, Kenneth Walker. He was shot on I-85.
No. Let's not forget about Jasper Sanks.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You talking about Jarvis or Jasper?
I mean, Jarvis. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jasper. I ain't trying to kill you. But yeah.
I was like, wait, did he die? Jesus.
No. Let's talk
you're
about
right.
that one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just we are tired. Now, the only thing I would like to see different, I'm not saying that rioting is the right thing to do. It probably would have been digested slightly easy if you go to their neighborhood. Don't burn our neighborhood down.
Yeah, don't burn our neighborhood down.
Right.
But I said,
what you want to do, if you're to the point that you're better, like especially with Atlanta, that's in downtown Atlanta. Well, what's in downtown Atlanta? People that know about Atlanta.
My damn grandma, my mom.
All right, then.
Well, you know what? I don't like Coca-Cola no more. They didn't give me no Coke.
Wait a minute, my nephew worked at Coca-Cola. Don't do
that.
Right. So if they would have went to Smyrna, Sandy Springs,
College Park,
Alpharetta, huh?
College Park, Smyrna.
No, College Park. No, College Park is black. That's us.
I said I thought we were talking about black people. Oh,
no. If the black people, if you really want to riot, you want to turn up, whatever, you hit them in the pocket. Yeah. You hit them in the pocket. You go to Smyrna. You go to Sandy Springs. You go to Marietta. You don't tear up downtown Atlanta. Where that's
I told you why they can't. I told you why they can't.
I get it. I understand that, but it's happened long enough where we could get in the cars and posse up if we had to. That's all I'm saying. I'm being honest. You like you said, you said why they can't. It still doesn't fix the issue. I'm gonna give you another example. Let me break another issue.
Break it down, Eric. Break it down.
Okay. You've been living on the East Coast for quite some time. When it snows when it snows in New York, I'm just gonna give you an example. When it snows in New York, what's the first area that's always taken care of?
The nice houses.
Are you talking about in the city?
Right, in the city. What's the first area, or should I say the borough, that's taken care of first?
Oh, Manhattan.
All white. All the way white.
100%. And they don't even do it.
But why do you think that happens?
They don't even do it above 125th.
Okay, there you go. So what I'm saying is, you know why they take care of Manhattan? Okay, you know they have the ball drops in Times Square every year, right?
Every year.
What does it look like the next day?
Clean as a whistle.
No,
ma'am.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Baby, as soon as that ball drop, they wait an hour and you can see them.
Okay,
they got the brooms and everything.
There you go. But what happens when they have a big party in the Bronx?
Oh, baby. The Bronx be lit, baby. You see
what happens when they have the West Indian Day Parade in Brooklyn?
Oh, somebody gets shot. Yeah.
Okay. You know,
every year, Nietzsche. Every year,
right.
Every year.
So why do you think Manhattan is cleaned up first?
I understand
white people.
That's where the money. That's where the money is.
That's the money at.
There you
Oh,
go.
100%. But the
But you
issue,
know what? Me, when
yeah.
it snows, okay. When it snows, I'm
Oh,
happy that I'm happy they don't clean my street because guess what? I ain't got to get in my truck and go.
They
you
don't
know
work like
what?
that in New York. You got to go to work.
I'll
It
tell them
doesn't
right.
work.
I ain't gotta go.
Right.
As soon as that last snowfall, as soon as that last snowflake hit the ground, they were like,
Right.
okay, we got the trucks. I can hear them. We got the trucks
You can
out.
hear them.
Okay.
They coming. They coming. If you're going to, you have to attack people where it hurts the most.
Exactly.
And
So
it's
that's
in
why
the,
I go back to say that people, and if you want to make change, you have to get not me because I'm not that political person. You have to get in some type of lower political Wendy's districts, do things for the community. Now I do volunteer. I will volunteer and I would do stuff like that. But I'm not that one to go sit up in front of whatever. I tell anybody that. I commend all of those politicians and everybody that has that council mentality. I do not, but I give back to my community in other ways. You
It's going to
understand
be
what I'm saying?
two
So
things.
therefore, what I'm saying is you have to get involved with your community in order to make change at the lowest level. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the president don't make no damn laws. He just signs or vetoes the laws.
Federal
He
law.
makes no laws.
Federal. Yeah.
right.
Correct. So
Yeah.
therefore, you know, if you make enough laws with the right
Mhm.
president, it should be working because and I say this because if anybody doesn't know, my line sisters, who I affectionately call my niece Ashanti Billy. If you don't know who that is, go Google Ashanti Billy. When she was murdered, we got we actually had a meeting with Virginia's congressman,
House of
and
Delegates. Mm-hmm.
and we actually got the bill passed for the Ashanti
You
alert.
did.
It wasn't until because Ashanti that happened with Ashanti back in 2017. It wasn't until 2 years later that it became a nationwide federal bill that actually went to sit in front of the Great Pumpkin. And this is the only thing I can commend him on is that he signed it into a law because, and I say that because we have the Ashanti alert, which covers 18 to 64-year-old people that come up Milton. Everybody knows about the Amber Alert. That's for babies and 17-year-olds, not 18-year-olds, but 17-year-olds. And then you have the Silver Alert that is from 65-year-olds until infinity. But there was nothing put in place in that gap. So therefore, the Ashanti Alert is out there, and guess what? They don't even utilize it.
No.
No,
Because
they
the reason why,
it.
but
why?
see, that's
Because
the thing.
she's a black. Oh no, she's a black girl.
Well, no, it's not even that. See, I'm see, being that I have the political background in this trio here, I'm going to tell you.
Off topic also a little bit.
No. It's all relevant. I was just going to tell you that.
It's all
I was just going to tell you that, Nitra. It's all relative, right? So how it works is that yes, something gets passed in the federal, but as long as the states don't vote something that's harsher than the federal, they can do whatever they want at the state level. So each state has systems that work that would trigger alerts, right? So one state
could be in Virginia. It does work in Virginia.
Right. No, and I've seen it, driving to Virginia. But what happens is, say for instance, in Virginia, it'll operate immediately, right? But in Nevada, it could be like, oh, well, we can't operate this alert until certain things happen, and the person has to be missing for 3 days. Somebody has to report it. Each
state laws.
Right. The one thing I was going to say about, and I remember that, and I'm so glad that you brought up Ashanti's law. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because it's going to bring a good point that I want to make. The issue with police shootings is that every single time that a legislator or a local group has tried to bring an existential change around police involved shootings, it goes to a screeching halt. And then it's almost like riding a media wave. If you know anything about media, the media wise wave, it has highs and lows. Think about it. Before Minneapolis caught the fuck fire, The only thing that was on the news in a 24-hour cycle was coronavirus. They were updating us on how many people died, where it was, where it went up, where it went down. People talking about Trump not doing shit, and it was just on a ever-ending, never-ending loop. What happens with our people in our community, because we've become sometimes so disgusted and disenfranchised on so many levels, that fucking anger is just ridiculous.
Yeah, we're angry.
When we see 3 or 4 people get killed at once, that's what brings us all together. But the institution of
but it does not happen when it's black on black crime. So explain that part.
I will tell you why. Because it's the institution of whites. If you think of everything that deals with anything outside of black people, it has something to do with the institution of white supremacy. Because white supremacy doesn't give a shit of whether I kill you, you kill Earth, you kill your baby. They do not care because you have no value to them. The last time that any black people had a value to a white person is when Jim Crow, well, sort of Jim Crow, but really with slavery, when your ass was a commodity. After they took that away, they really don't give a they really don't give a fuck about what happens to us. But as soon as something happens of this magnitude, and this actually happened to a couple of people I got into an argument with. Exactly. I got into an argument with someone about this because they're like, oh, well, why are your people so upset with George Floyd dying when y'all kill people every day? And I'm sitting here like, well, hold the fuck up. So there's a difference. There is a clear existential difference between us killing each other. First of all, killing is bad. I'm just going to say that. Killing is bad.
Killing is bad.
Killing is bad. You can slap a bitch.
I don't know about
wait, Nietzsche. You can slap a bitch, but just don't kill nobody. Okay. But the
unless
issue is that
my child.
Lord Jesus.
Let's see, we go to another place.
Right.
I'm sorry, let me bring it back.
Look,
bring it back.
So
go ahead, Laura.
So the issue is that when we kill each other, it's because we haven't developed the tools that we need to bring ourselves out of poverty. The reason why people sell drugs, poverty. If they could do something else, they would. But you can't get a job.
The best businessmen, and that's a funny thing. Drug dealers, let's talk about like Rayford Edmonds. If you don't know who Rayford Edmonds is, Joetta knows about Rayford Edmonds. He was like the biggest drug dealer in the DC area, okay? He didn't touch a goddamn thing. He had people doing everything. Those are the best businessmen in the world. But what do? You do it illegally. Okay?
Until you wrap that.
And guess who ratted him out? A white girl.
Oh Lord, there we go. Somebody.
Am I lying, Joetta?
Somebody brought Becca to the party and she told all the shit.
No, she was working for him. She was the only white chick working for him, and the feds got her, and she started singing like a daggone
the one drug dealer I always think about that should be a great example is Jay-Z.
Jay-Z full of shit. I don't like Jay-Z.
No. Trust me, I'm on a whole different level. I'm with you on that. No. Trust me. I heard something on the radio on Hot 97 before we started that shocked the hell out of me.
That's true, Kyra. Kyra, I agree with you.
Yeah, so we always talk about 1% of somebody, and we don't know that the 1% of somebody has to do with the universe as a whole. Right. The issue is that as long as you have a drug dealer that doesn't, get caught up with this, that, and the other, and they all want to be rappers. That's their way to become legitimate. We can be a rapper, this is that, and the other, or sometimes it always happens that way. So it just happened.
Wait a minute, that's so stereotyping. So a drug dealer, that's just like saying all strippers go to college. That's a stereotype.
Whoa. That's not true. But that is true to a certain extent. When you think about
I'm sorry.
Right, when you
some strippers want to go to the Blue Flame because they like shaking their ass and making money. I'm not mad at that.
Right. Some drug
dealers want to do that too. Go ahead,
Because
Earth.
I know we have friends that we have friends in college that worked at the strip clubs and they made good money.
Good damn money.
Very good money.
Yeah, you made good money.
If anybody know, and this is no shade at all, if you work at any strip club in Atlanta, Georgia, you was doing all right.
Yes.
Point blank, period. And some people
I'm not knocking the hustle. Don't get it twisted nor confused. I ain't knocking the hustle.
Right. You know, but
I was just merely laughing at Lawrence when he said
they all want to be. Well, because you know what? If you look at the culture, because if you look at the culture, if you look at the culture of hip hop, when you think about hip hop, did Run DMC talk about drugs?
Whoa, wait a minute now. So let me back up. Let's bring it back. All rappers that talk about selling drugs, they are studio rappers. Not all drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
You know that. That's true. That's true.
All rappers know how to fire a damn pistol. That's true. There's a lot. Let's look at Tiger. Tiger, born and raised over there in Beverly Hills somewhere, where ain't nothing but a goddamn studio gangster. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was with the world-class Wrecking Crew. All right, him and Miss Chalet. Okay, when that shit didn't pan out, Eazy-E, who was the drug dealer, who had the money, was the one that said, "Hey, I want to open up a record company, and I need you to be the producer." So let's not do that. Let's not.
Right.
Okay?
Let me say this.
So Dr. Dre is ashamed that he used to say, "My name is Doctor, and I'm no." I'm the master.
My favorite producer.
Y'all are stupid. I was making
that song and play it.
Oh my god! I was making the correlation between non-legitimate and legitimate jobs. That was the correlation.
Right. You
know, that was the correlation.
But it kind of goes back, like you were saying, about why the people are tearing up their neighborhoods, why the people are doing what they're doing. They're frustrated and they're tired.
Don't tear your shit up.
You don't. But like Lawrence said it on a good point. They're not educated and understanding.
And I get that part.
They're not. You're right. So I get that.
Get that part too.
When it comes time to beat a person at something, you got to be able to beat them strategically. Especially if you already know that it's a difference between two races. You got to beat them strategically. You got to have a different plan. You're right. Everybody coming together. I like the reason behind it. I just don't like the behavior.
You're welcome, Kyra.
So that's listen, I totally agree.
I will listen. So I get all of that. I think we should do every single thing that we should to uplift every last one of our brothers and sisters.
Open up Black Wall Street again. How about that? I've not been saying that forever. I don't know how to do it, but I think it would be a phenomenal thing.
It would.
We could just have our own little community.
Yes.
Somewhere else.
Yes.
Give us the west side, okay? Since y'all brought us in on the east side, goddamn it, we'll take the west side, okay? let that be. Hurricane, tornadoes, and earthquakes and all. We'll take the west side.
But that starts with investments. That starts with priorities. That starts with the voting process.
And that's a lot. And that's a lot of stuff that regular Black people don't have.
They don't. But at the same token, we got to educate ourselves to get to that point.
So this is what I'm going to say. I hear you, but see, this is you almost touched the nerve when you just said that. The reason why it annoys me when people sort of say that we need to get educated, because we have been educating our people for over 50 fucking years. Over that.
Not that way. I'm not talking about that way. I'm not talking about that way.
But with that,
I'm saying about
want to change also. You have to want to change.
Mm-hmm,
I can teach you. I can explain to you the importance of changing. You have to want to change to make a difference in your community.
That's right.
And a lot of people are so institutionalized with being in lower poverty, they can't see past the next welfare check that they get. And I say welfare check because a lot of people are institutionalized as far as getting it. You know, you got a lot of people with generational curses that the mama would tell you, oh, you pregnant? Go ahead down there on Kent Street, go to the WIC office and get on food stamps and get WIC for your baby. They don't try to teach their kids. So now, next thing you know, Keisha got 4 or 5 damn kids, not supposed to have the dude living in the house with her.
That's
but
true.
She got dude living in the house with her.
Right. You're right.
She still want that dick at night. Okay?
But we're oh my God.
But you know what? You can have money and get that at night. It don't matter.
Exactly. But I'm specifically talking about lower poverty, because you can be poor, but you can be lower poverty too. That's institutionalized. They don't. They can't see past what their moms did, because their moms or the grandmothers have taught them that this is okay. Like they and then on top of that, the government doesn't really help them, because they say, oh, well, we're going to put you in this program to get you off of food stamps. But once you get put in a program to actually do better, then they snatch your benefits from you. Benefits should be a supplement of what you're bringing in until you can do better. It shouldn't be, this is what we're going to live off of. But
see, at some point, but that's what I'm saying. So at some point, you have to elevate past that.
Yeah.
You got to elevate past that. At some point, you got to say, you know what? This is not going to cut it. It's not enough.
Yeah. But you got to want it.
You got to want it. You got to want it. You got to want it.
I can tell you about all the jobs that's out there. I can tell you how to go to school. Unfortunately, let me tell you something. I do not advocate for people when they go to college, like seniors in high school. I do not say go to college.
No, it's not even about that. When I say education, I think it goes for the military, it goes for college, it goes for something past high school.
Yes, but let me tell you why I say do not go straight to college if you cannot afford it. If you cannot afford college, meaning your parents cannot afford to send you to college, I do not recommend that you go to college. I recommend that you go into the military, because once you get into the military, okay, 1 year past you get into the military, you can go to school for free. I don't agree with paying for that tuition. That tuition is fuckery. Matter of fact, I feel that your bachelor's and your associates should be fucking free. Because guess what? Because
should have told me that 25 years ago.
Let me tell you why I say that. Because your master's degree is nothing more than your bachelor's degree now. Is equivalent to your bachelor's degree now. Your bachelor's degree holds no weight. It's equivalent to your associates. Your associates is equivalent to your high school diploma, and your high school diploma ain't nothing but a fucking GED.
And I'm going to say this question.
That's why I say we got so many people that go to college, get these degrees, and don't even work in the damn field that they got the degrees in, or can't even pay the student loans back.
The issue is why. This is what I've been saying the whole entire time. The problem is so large, it would take us years to find a solution. The reason why it has escalated to that point, is that white supremacy made sure that you didn't have it. They felt that they were coming. We were getting too close. Think about it. In the Clinton years, that is when Black middle class wealth skyrocketed, right? But before then, in our generation, because our parents was like, listen, education is so important. You see that guy over there? All he has is a bachelor's degree. That is it. You know, you go and get that bachelor's degree, baby. You go and get that education, no matter what. That's where you're going to go. And then education became a business. And when education became a business, they knew that was the only way African Americans could even afford to go in there and have the education. So first, it started with the affirmative action clauses and, having to have those things go in. It all keeps going through a sliding scale. So no matter what you do, if you don't address that monster that's sitting at the top, everything that flows down from it, even if you try to do something at the bottom level of the pyramid, if I can have a diagram of the pyramid, it wouldn't matter, because as you're trying to move it up, someone here is going to see it and they're going to shift it and go, shift it and go, and it's just going to keep going. So that's why I agree that we need to have our own, communities back. Right. But because it took almost a generation for the institution to rip it away from us, it's going to take all of us to build it back.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us to build it back. Now, Nitra, you know I love you like I love cook food, but I don't like the military 100 fucking percent.
And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I can tell you that it is not for everybody, and that's why and I don't knock anybody that does not want to, but I'm saying if you want to go to school for free.
Oh, now that's true.
That's true. Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. If I understood the business side of that back then, I totally agree. And I think Lawrence, I would have done the same thing. But no one said that to us.
You know why? Let me tell you why
no one said that to us.
That, because a lot of our mothers and cousins and older grandparents or whatever, they all see as you go to the military, you're going to war. You go to the military, you're going to war. You go into the military, you're going to war. That's all they see. Why? Because that's all that media tells them. You go to the media, you go to military, you go for war. There are people that has never even gone to the freaking field. And when I say field, that means go sleep outside in your tents or whatever on American soil. There's people that has never been deployed before. Okay. There's people in the military that have these cush jobs where they don't have to see certain parts of what you see in the military. But you have to pimp the military just like they fucking pimp you. Okay. If your goal is not to stay in the military, but you want that college education, go to school, pay your little GI Bill money, which is $100 out for the first 12 months. So that's $1,200. Then you got your benefits to go to school. Get the fuck out if that's what you want to do. Okay. If you want to travel the world, go into the Navy. If you want to focus on school, go into the Air Force. If you just want to do fighting or whatever other stuff that the Marines do that. If you want to get rank real fast, join the Army. Like, there's different branches that can get you to where you need to get to. You don't have to make it a career. And I'm not telling anybody to make it a career. But also on the flip side of that, if you go to school and you got your degree, go in as an officer and let the military pay that shit back.
Right. Yeah. But see, no one's educated. But see, that's the thing about it. It takes people like you that understands the military to educate our youth. That 17 and 18-year-old don't know nothing about that, because that was never explained to me when I was 17 or 18. I knew I needed to go to college. I knew I needed to do something to make something out of myself. And all I saw were two doors, college or the military. And I knew I didn't want to do the military because, like you said, they always was talking about the war. But if it was explained to me that, you know what, if you go in 1 year, there's a possibility you may not go to war, you may not have to sleep outside, you may not have to go through all of that, and will also pay for your college tuition, that might have had my head turn a little different. But that didn't happen. That wasn't explained.
I loved when I was active duty. The only reason I got out when I was active duty is because I came to the DMV area. I was at DIA. I was working with contractors, and you're not supposed to talk about your pay or whatever, but you hear little mumbles and little rumors about what government contracting company got what contract and what they was getting, if they was going to get the contract or not. You start hearing little things. And when I hear that you're making 3 times what I'm making active duty, that it starts messing with you, because it's like, we do the same thing and you get paid this, and I'm in the military. So I got out. I did 10 years, which was very stupid of me to get out in the middle of my 20-year sentence, but I did. only because I was working at DIA. Had I not gone to the DMV area, and I was always going from different military, I would have, I would have retired from the military. However, my disability makes up for that disability check. I mean, that retirement check, but that still lost income that I made that I missed on the backside of it. Now, when I did think about going back in, once I got out and got with the company, and they lost the contract, I did think about going back in. But then guess what? At that time, I was married. And at that time, my then husband was like, I'm not going nowhere. And that was because I think he was nervous about leaving the DMV, because the DMV was all that he knew. He didn't know, because we all three of us know we got people in Columbus, Georgia. They ain't set foot no further than Atlanta, Georgia, which is an hour away. All right.
Right.
They haven't gone no further than they haven't even gone to Toccoa, Georgia. Okay. So, I say that with I wanted to go back in, but he was like, I'm not moving around with you. And then of course I'm not gonna leave my husband and my children, so that's why I didn't go. But baby, let me tell you something. If I could have went back in the military, I would have been back in the military, because I truly enjoyed it. I like the traveling, but I just got off subject now. But
it's well, no, it's see again. My point is that I think it's all relative, because it's all about. I think to Erskine's point, it's all about education, right? How do we help each other? How do we do it so that we can pull ourselves together, right? We live. Yeah. It's one thing. There was a quote. I think I'm going to misquote it, but it's one thing that says that a Black man in America consistently lives in fear and anger and regret, sometimes simultaneously, all at the same time.
I got another quote from you too.
Oh,
yeah. So I found this quote I found this quote scrolling my feed on Facebook, and I actually reached out to the young lady and told her, what I liked the quote and I wanted to use it. I wanted to give her credit, even though I didn't know if this was from her mind or she got it from somewhere. And I told her that I would give her name, but she did not respond in time. But she did respond, and her name is Leanna, I want to say, Liana Cooper. But I told her if she didn't respond in time for the show, I would just put Facebook user. And this is actually what she said.
It's not black versus whites. It's blacks versus racism. Don't confuse the two. Absolutely.
And I totally agree with, because that goes back to us saying some white. And now we got to put in some Chinese people, because China been doing the most too with the Nigerians that's over there. So
listen, okay, not to be off subject, but people, how can I say this? The only way you can be knowledgeable is to be aware.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware.
Right.
Trying to teach people how to be aware when they don't want to be is disheartening within itself. But we also have to educate our brothers and sisters to understand that even if you don't get involved, the work that we will do will still help you.
Yeah,
even if you don't get involved,
that's what I'm saying.
Even if you don't get involved, it will still help you. So you may not see it today, but you will see it tomorrow. And if you don't, my brother or my sister, God bless you, but we're still going to help you because you still lost.
And stop saying that black people trying to be white. That shit irks my soul when people say that.
Can you go to Joetta's comment? It says the government was good to me.
I was looking at that one.
Yeah, okay. So I want to read that. The government was good to me, but I got a life after that. My doctorate will be used to mentor and teach my own people and assist African communities. That hit me right on the head what Lawrence was just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do. And that's that. It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the education. Whether it's military, whether it's college, whether it's trade school, we have to attain a certain amount of knowledge to do the things that we want to do so we can be comfortable doing it, to better ourselves. That's all I'm saying with that. You know, I mean, it's in order, and you teach this person, you teach this person, you teach this person, you teach this person. Like you said, Lawrence, everybody's not going to want it. Everybody's not going to want it. Some people going to push it away. I don't got the patience for that. Just like some people didn't have the patience to be in the military to go through what you went through. People didn't have the patience to sit up in the classroom like you and I, Lawrence, to go through what we went through. But we are a.
I got my degree.
There you go.
All right now.
There you go. And that's what matters. You can teach the next person that you don't have to sell drugs to make it. You don't have to stay in this situation. You don't have to, unfortunately, have 2 or 3 kids and you 17, 18 years old, and you just have to stay and deal with public assistance. You don't have to do that.
I commend those women that did have those kids at 17, Absolutely. 18 years old.
And they decided
they did not stay where they were.
There
they
you go.
Made something of
there you go.
I commend those women.
But see, those are the women that understand that I need to better myself, whether it's education, however way, I have to better myself. And I know staying at this level is not going to cut it. So they did that. They did that.
Sometimes those drivers, you have to find your driver, because sometimes for those women, those drivers are their kids.
There you go.
You know, when you go home, like, okay, again, I'm trying to bring it together. If we can find hope in the things that we do every day, a lot of these individuals who, are out there, they're on the street, life sucks, I can't get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that. You have to find some type of hold to do something, to do anything to try to make your life better. But sometimes if you get slammed, and our poor black brothers who go to prison for years and years and years, and they get out, and the government saying that you've been rehabilitated, and then they get out and then they can't do anything. And then the cycle just continues and continues. The issue is that after all that is said and done, we do everything that we're supposed to do. Me, EJ, Nitra, we do everything that we're still supposed to do as intellectual, smart, funny, loving sisters and brothers to help our communities. But yet and still, when you walk out in that street and you walk out in those streets of America, they could give 2 damns about you. Because if you are not composed and together at all times, all of this education, all of our togetherness, all of this that we're building ourselves up to be, will all be for naught.
Right.
And that is what it's what brought me to tears for the past 2 days. And I'm still trying to figure out how could I have prevented this? What could I have done to prevent this? It literally felt like a piece of my soul and my spirit left me between Breonna Taylor and George Ford and Ahmaud Arbery. Every time, and that's why I had to turn it off. I think even Nietzsche, we were talking about it at one point. You mentioned it. Like, sometimes you just have to remove yourself.
Yeah,
you do, because you can get depressed off of it.
It was hitting me.
Because when I was going through, not just me, but when we were going through, and I'm not saying people that was on social media watching, but when we was in the thick of it, being down there in the trenches of trying to find Ashanti, I promise you, it was like my news feed was like, you know how you buy a car and it's a particular color, you never see that color car, but until you buy that car, and then everybody sees
everywhere.
I promise you, when we was in the thick of it with Ashanti, my news feed was lit with missing children, missing people. Like, it was so draining. I went into a whole depression.
Yeah.
And it was not good.
Yeah.
And even even on top of that, prior to Ashanti, like, I wasn't even emotionally healed off of the passing of my granddaughter, which that happened a whole year and 30 days prior to Ashanti. And just for me to have to go back and relive
that trauma,
a more extreme version, because like I told my daughter, I didn't have nothing to say to my daughter. I couldn't. I didn't have the words to fathom, to literally say, to comfort my child when it happened.
Yeah.
And here I go a whole fucking year later, and I don't have the words to tell my sister, I'm sorry. Not that I did anything.
But you still feel like you could have.
But I couldn't comfort her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the words. And I still don't have the words for neither one of them to comfort them. Yeah. And it's hard, it's draining, is depressing.
Yeah.
And that is something that you never, ever, 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 ever want to live through. And then on top of that, to add salt to injury, you know, the page that I set up for Ashanti on Guidance of Brandy, I would get shit in my inbox by white supremacy saying one less nigga, you know, just saying all of these, you know, she looks like a monkey. She did. Why?
Yes.
You don't even know her. Why? And like I told my daughter, it's one thing, and I wasn't trying to compare the two. It's one thing to lose your baby that wasn't here versus somebody that was here for 19 years.
Yep.
And just like that, they're taken from you from a heinous crime. I don't understand the senselessness of killing people. Like everybody that has died, all the black people that have died since, and I know it's more, but I'm just going back from Trayvon Martin up until George Floyd, was senseless. Like, what the hell did they do? And then to come to find out that Floyd and the police officer that
worked together,
killed him, worked at the same goddamn nightclub as security. So now that makes me feel like you had a vendetta against him. And now his wife has set up here and it did divorce papers. That doesn't make me think that she's divorcing him because he's a bad person, because he's had other things that come up in his past that they're putting out. But it makes me feel that she's trying to hold on to assets. So I'm tired.
I will say, but that goes to Nitra. That goes to the DNA of the resilience of our people.
There you go.
Because even every day we are heartbroken. Every day there's something that we have to wake up to and be, what is happening? But you know what? You had to find the strength. Because you know why? You had to, even though you were hurting, you still had to be that comfort for your family, for your extended family. You had to be that comfort for them. And that is why we are all hurting. We are all hurting deep inside for every single one of our people that we lose senselessly. And it's because we have built up this resilience. It's almost like a kettle, you know. Sometimes when you have a kettle and it boils over to the top, if you turn the fire off, it'll still sit there for a little while, but then it goes down. And that is what our people have been through this entire season that I call of our existence here in this country. But the one thing that I do have faith in, and I don't have faith in a lot of stuff these days, but the one thing I do have faith in is the resilience and the power of us to come together and comfort us when we need to be. The issue is that we're tired of comforting. We're tired of the hurt. We're tired of the pain.
That's right.
Even looking at Nietzsche right now, it makes me want to, it's bringing back those emotions that I had 2 days ago. I think I was telling EJ's wife that it was at one point I couldn't even sleep because I was so angry, but yet and still I had no idea what I could do. So I made it a mission to myself to make sure that anything that I can do in another day, right, to make sure that I can help someone at least stay alive to see the next day. And I think that's what Erskine what Erskine was saying was, we have to make sure that we have our restraint, but I don't want our restraint to be translated into subduedness. I don't want that to be. I want us to be just as strong, as resilient as our forefathers were on that plantation, being whipped to hell, with our great grandmothers or our great great grandmothers being raped, our great great grandfathers being raped and subdued to so many trials and tribulations throughout these years. And at this point, at this pivotal point in our history, we have to make a decision of whether we're going to continue to live these types of things or we're going to make a concerted effort to make that change.
Yeah.
All right.
And you know that we love you. And you know that we hear you, girl, 100%. I will bite a bear's ass. They come near you.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That lets you know it's real strong. I might get killed. I'm just saying.
Right. But wow. So so of course, unfortunately, we have run out of time.
Yes, we have.
But this was so powerful, and I really, really would like to carry this into next week. I think we should, because what's going on the next few days and what's going on basically overnight, it's going to get even heavier the next few days. So I would love to piggyback on where we left off at. I think you guys are absolutely amazing. It's truly an honor and a blessing to see both sides of the world. When you say military, when you say college, the things that you both dedicated yourselves to make something out of yourself, elevate. And I commend you both. I commend all three of us, you know what I mean? But it was so beautiful tonight for us to discuss the different ways of educating and bettering ourselves.
Sure.
That's the beauty of it. That's what we have to always get at. We're just as smart as white people. We're just as smart. We got to strategize differently. That's all. We got the same tools.
Yeah.
God blessed me with the opportunity to dominate in an HBCU, graduate with a high GPA at HBCU, and he also blessed me with the gift and the talent to graduate from an Ivy League school as well. So I got the best of both worlds. We can do it. We can do it. And it was just my mama that made that happen. You know what I mean? My mom and my grandma that made that happen. So at the end of the day, we got to continue to let it be known to our young people that we can make it. We can make it. We can make it. We can make it. And, for years.
Be the example you want to see in the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You took Lawrence, snatched the words right out of my mouth. So
put it back.
No. But let's make that happen. Let's prioritize. Let's start first with the voting process. We know we're not being treated right.
Please vote, people. Please.
We know that. We know that. If you can line up around the corner to give Michael Jordan $200 for some sneakers, you can line up around the corner to vote, to make it comfortable for your ancestors and the people that have fought for you, the people that are fighting for you, and the people that's going to carry the torch even after you're gone. You can stand in line to do what you got to do to better.
And connect with your neighborhood. Connect with your neighborhood.
Connect with your neighborhood. Yeah.
Sometimes people don't have. There's a lot of elderly who may not have a ride. And this happened in Georgia. They closed down a lot of voting precincts in this last election with Governor McFuckface. In Georgia, he closed down a lot of the precincts so that a lot of our people couldn't vote.
Right.
So reach out to those local communities. And if you need to give a ride, give a ride. If you need to give someone, I don't even know if they have Lyft or Uber or car ride shares down there, but reach out and make sure what you can do in your community. Because one thing I will say is that, yes, the federal government laws affect you, but the local laws directly impact your lives every single day. And don't lose sight of it.
Right.
All right. I think Lawrence dropped the gem. I think he dropped the gem tonight.
That was the gem of the night.
That was the gem of the night. Can you repeat that again, Lawrence? Can you repeat it?
Sure. So what you can do is make sure that, if you missed this episode of Unfiltered, what is it? Unfiltered and No Chaser, Unfiltered No Chaser, that you can definitely check it out on YouTube and or a repeat, because those gems come off my head, come through my mouth, and go out the door. One thing I will say, Nitra, can you do real quick for me? There is one organization that there's a couple of organizations that if you want to donate help for individuals who are legitimately protesting for the injustices that are going on. One of them is the Minnesota Freedom Fund.org. Yes, that one there.
Thank you, Bruce.
And Bruce is amazing. Bruce is awesome.
Bruce is in Germany, guys. And
Bruce, give it up for Bruce. Give a round of
week.
applause for Bruce.
He comes every
We
week.
appreciate
Bruce.
Bruce. We appreciate Bruce.
Love you, Bruce.
So reach out the way you can. You know, it's $5, you know, $10. You know, we can all do this together, but it's going to take all of us to do it together.
Yeah, and Black Lives Matter, they also have a webpage, and there
They
are
do.
also local Black Lives Matter. So find out where your local Black Lives Matters are also.
Sure.
Okay. And as always, I guess my little gem would be continue to support Black businesses. Let's continue to uplift each other. Big shout out to my friend, Mr. JustDoesIt.com, Mr. Just Douglas, for the phenomenal ATL shirt. You know, I love to see what he's doing. He's also a doctor down there. He's probably going to put me in the headlock because he'll be putting his business out there. But I'm so proud of what he's done as a Black man, and I'm so proud of him just being a phenomenal friend, reaching out, and just everything that he's doing. So big shout out to my man, Mr. J. Douglas, and his phenomenal clothing line. Keep shining, brother. He has a lot of stuff on there to uplift, clothing-wise, uplift our community, you know, uplift African Americans. So, you know, check out his website. It's justdoesit.com, JUSDOESIT.com. I had to make sure I get my spelling right. Justdoesit.com.
Right.
All right.
He's on Etsy, so if you're looking for him, he is on
very
Etsy.
Nice.
Yes. I was stalking him. Thank you. And also, also for the ladies out there, if you're looking for eyelash strips, you can go to lashcritic.com. That is my business. That's Lash Critic, LASHCRITIC.com. I have sleeping masks, eyelash sleeping masks, shampoo for your lashes, and tweezers, adhesive, and eyelash strips for those that are in need of eyelashes. So I am a Black owned business.
That just blew my mind. There's shampoo for eyelashes?
Yes, I have an eyelash, and I am a trademark business.
Wow. Wow.
Can you post that? Can you post that? Post that on the screen.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've never heard of that. I just learned something new every day.
Do my eyelashes, my hair brown. So I know she got beard products.
You are silly. But yes, I do have my own business. I am an entrepreneur by heart. But also, please, we beg of you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is also our channel here, Unfiltered No Chaser, on YouTube. So I will ask that you please subscribe to that channel too, because just in case you cannot make it here, although you can go back and look at it at a later date because I do not take our live stream down, you can also go to our YouTube channel and also subscribe to that as well. So we're on YouTube, Facebook as Unfiltered No Chaser, and we're on Instagram as unfiltered underscore no chaser. So please make sure that you go and check us out. Follow us on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and share to everyone. We truly appreciate each and every one of you all. We thank you for our regular people that come out to see us every week. Again, if you have topics that you would like for us to talk about, that is a matter of your heart, please let us know. You can email us at unfilterednochaser@gmail.com, or you can drop it on our Instagram or our Facebook page. I monitor them all the time, so I am always looking for topics. We don't want to have the same topics all the time because then it becomes redundant. We don't want to lose our audience base because we like being engaged with you all and talk about it. And Erskine and I actually laughed about it. We said every time we think we got a topic, something happens right after we agree on the topic, and now we have to expand. So that is one of the reasons why we always have two topics on one episode, because we try to get the hot topics. And also, I will also say this, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I also follow Unwind with Tasha K. She's on YouTube, and she actually I missed it last night, her live stream, but I caught back up to it today. Prayers go out to Wendy Williams. Tasha has a 4-part series going out on Wendy Williams, and basically right now, it's reported that Wendy Williams is in the hospital in New York under an assumed name. She's on the neurological level. She is not doing well at all, guys. Tasha K reported that she's literally talking to herself, contemplating suicide.
Jeez.
And other things. And I don't think that this is rumor. I don't think that this is something to be joked about. I don't care if you don't like Wendy Williams. I don't care if you say she tells everybody else's business. That is her job. That is how she gets paid. But it just breaks my heart that she is spiraling down in this extreme measure, and it all goes back to her ex-husband. So just prayers out to Wendy Williams.
Absolutely.
And her family. And for her sanity. So I just want to say peace and blessings. We love you all, and have a good rest of your
right there we go. Oh, right before we end, let's also keep our psychotherapists, social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, and caseworkers lifted up in prayer for any of those. I know we're about to go off the air, but I just wanted to make sure, and this kind of goes into what you were saying, Nitra, keep those workers uplifted. I'm a psychotherapist myself. I do clinical care management for a hospital here in New York City, and it is rough. The challenges are rough. People say, well, you're working from home, but believe you me, it is not as easy as people may think it is. We're going through tough times, so we have to stick together. We have to stay positive. If you need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out to the nearest caseworker, nearest social worker, nearest psychotherapist, nearest psychiatrist, nearest psychologist. Just have that outlet. Give yourself that outlet if it is necessary for you, okay? So I just wanted to throw that out there, and just everybody stay prayed up and stay positive, and we hope to see you all next week.
Yes, we love you.
Be safe.